All right, well, I got a reading that's in your order of service, but I changed it. I changed it to another reading from the same sermon by Martin Luther King, Jr. And it goes like this. Now we can see what Jesus meant when he said, love your enemies. We should be happy that he did not say, like your enemies. It is almost impossible to like some people. Like is a sentimental and affectionate word. How can we be affectionate towards a person whose avowed aim is to crush our very being and place innumerable stumbling blocks in our path? How can we like a person who is threatening our children and bombing our homes? That's impossible. But Jesus recognized that love is greater than like. When Jesus bids us to love our enemies, he is speaking neither of eros or philia. He's speaking of agape. Understanding and creative, redemptive goodwill for all people. Only by following this way and responding with this type of love are we able to be children of our Father who is in heaven. So, first of all, I want to thank some individuals in this congregation for publishing my sermons online. And every so often, I will listen to one of my old sermons, and boy, is it a lot like listening to your fingernails going across a chalkboard. I absolutely hate it. But I did it, and I learned something that I'm sorry for being as serious as a heart attack. And I'm sorry for having my eyes buried in my sermon many Sundays. And so I decided for this Sunday I would get out of my sermon. I wrote it. It's back there. You can read the written sermon if you want. But I created an outline from the written sermon, and I'm going to preach from that today. And we'll see what happens. It could be a terrible failure. So if you've noticed, if you've read the newsletter, which I know maybe 40% of you do, we're doing this whole theme on resistance. That's the theme of the month. And so last week we did the resistance of the mind, and we talked about critical thinking and the power of scientific reasoning, and how that really shapes matter much more than a fascist impulse to impose his own order of the world on matter. And today we're getting into Martin Luther King weekend. And so we want to talk about the resistance of the heart, the ability, the pursuit of embodying a love that is mixed with justice. Talk about some of the challenges to that and how we can do a better job of that. And next week we'll be talking about the resistance of action, the resistance of the hand, and what that means, right? So, Carol, your director of religious exploration, and Patty, you're the chair of your music committee, and we've been meeting now for months every week, and we chose this whole resistant theme 3 months ago, and wouldn't you know it, the Trump administration found out, and they planned a bunch of things to really make this whole month much more poignant. So I really want to thank personally Stephen Miller, the Trump administration, for really, helping us out here. So, the heart of justice. The heart of justice. That's what this sermon is about, the heart of justice. But in order to talk about the heart of justice, we got to talk about the heart. What is the heart? So, I've been studying Buddhism for a while, and a couple decades. Have a practice of insight meditation that I do. And there's mindfulness first of all, the body, the breath in the body. And become mindful about how you hold tension in your body. And you become mindful about how to relax the tension in your body. And then once your body sort of calms down a little bit, you become terribly aware of how many billion thoughts that you have within 30 minutes. And they're just constant stream of thoughts. And you learn how to be present to those thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts begin to slow down. And there's deeper states underneath all of those thoughts. That's where the heart is. Call those in the Buddhist context mental structures, but they're really heart states. Right? And the heart state is where we hold all of our trauma. And we all have a degree of trauma, because I don't know if you've figured it out or not, but getting born is not easy. And we've got grief there. And sometimes we have unresolved love there. And you find out that you can't be militant about it. You can't get angry with those inner places of trauma and fear. You just have to be aware. And you have to not be driven to distraction over it, because that's how we spend most of our lives, driven to distraction over this stuff that we carry in our hearts. It drives many people to alcoholism. It's the source of a lot of mental illness. I'm not going to say all mental illness, but some, right? And it's a source of so many people overworking themselves, becoming workaholics. It's a source of so much nastiness. No, this practice, it's the light of awareness, it's really about befriending these dark places. And it's only when we start to befriend the dark places that, it's like Teresa Avila's vision of the diamond castle of the soul. And you're out there and you look and you see this diamond castle for the first time. You never saw that there was a diamond castle. And you start to get curious about the diamond castle, so you go into the diamond castle and it looks, wow. And you go there and you know what? As soon as you knock on the door, it opens and you're inside the diamond castle. And it's so brilliant. It takes a while for you to adjust. But when you look around, you see that all of these nasty creatures came inside with you when you went into the diamond castle. It's this fear, it's the trauma, it's the anger, it's the bitterness. It's all of these things came into the door when you went in. And now you're stuck there with them. It's only when you befriend them that another door appears to even a more beautiful place. And beyond that, there's another room and another door that has to be revealed in a way that you never would have thought at first. And then another room. What a great metaphor. One time I was sitting, and there it was, jaded. A bitterness. A bitterness so sour. And as I sat there, this vision of being chased. My friends had this great game that they used to like to play. It was called Chase the Freak. And that was me. I was the freak. I was 9, and they chased me on this series of high snowbanks, going up and down. I was a fast runner, and they were kind of getting frustrated because they couldn't catch me, because they wanted to beat me up. And I came down the snowbank, and I slipped, and it was this like sandy, hard pavement, and it ripped through my snow pants and ripped through my jeans and tore open my knee. And that knee took weeks to heal. And the pain of it, every time, it was just the lack of fairness. I mean, come on, people. Chase the Freak is not a good game. It wasn't fair. And it tied into all kinds of other games like Chase the Freak. Like not being picked, being always picked last for a team. Or going to the dance and nobody would dance with me. And all of it jaded. And jaded had big walls and a stinky moat filled with alligators. And jaded had guards at the gate. Jaded did not want to be seen, because behind all of those giant walls was a little kid that was scared. You know the amount of space was cleared when that giant fortress didn't need to be there anymore? I felt like I was literally going to fly away. Everybody has this. Everybody is carrying this kind of burden. That's why, though we may not like our enemies very much, we love them. Because we're human beings and our brains are wired for madness. King says, we must not seek to defeat or humiliate the enemy, but to win their friendship and understanding. At times, we are able to humiliate our worst enemy. Inevitably, their weak moments come, and we are able to thrust in their side a spear of defeat. But this we must not do. Every word and deed must contribute to an understanding with the enemy and release those vast reservoirs of goodwill which have been blocked by impenetrable walls of hate, like deep childhood fear or grief or anxiety. It can also be unresolved love or the deepest dream. What a brilliant writer. What insight. You know, toddlers, you look at what's happening right now to our nation, we're being run by toddlers, emotional toddlers. And it is so tragic, and so much pain, needless pain, is being inflicted on people. But they are toddlers. And it is so sad, because we are beautiful people. This is a beautiful nation, and we deserve so much better. You know, when you look around and you start to see what people are really dealing with, it's just unbearable almost. You think of a group of people who, a lot of them did vote for this administration. You know, there were a lot of construction workers. Did you know that construction workers face a suicide rate 4 to 5 times higher than any other profession? They are a group of people who are more likely to face chronic pain and just being dismissed arbitrarily, constant budgetary concerns thrown their way, constant deadline concerns thrown their way. They're least likely to have pensions. They're least likely to have health care if something goes wrong. And it's a culture of stoicism, of the tough guy. Think about how these people have been manipulated. It's so sad. It's horrifying. You know, instead of like, let's figure out how to increase your wages. Let's figure out how to give you better health care. Let's figure out how to give you a decent retirement. Let's figure out how to protect your right to work. It's like it's the immigrants. They're stealing your jobs. I worked in construction. I know what it's like to have your boss say, you know, I can hire 2 people for the wage I pay you. That's not fair. A boss shouldn't have that ability. But that's not the problem. The problem is a whole group of people being actively oppressed, and nobody's doing anything about it. And they're angry, and they're upset. Of course they are. When was Martin Luther King shot? Very good. You special stars for you. It was at a workers' rally for garbage men. Because what King was proposing was a world that was beyond race, that was uniting people, that was threatening to the capitalist world order, that was actually dealing with real problems creatively and creating a solution that would shake the foundations of the Republican and the Democratic Party. And I think, people, we are in this moment again, where we have to find the true heart of justice and imagine a world outside of the boxes we have put ourselves in. To find a word and a truth that truly unites people and brings people together. But we shouldn't think that it's going to be popular. We shouldn't think that it's going to be easy. But we can do it. We can do it. May we find in our heart, in the awareness of our own trauma and pain there, greater empathy and greater justice still to mend this world so bound up in hatred and polarization. Blessed be. Well, we're gathered together from the bottom up, grassroots, all that. Everything we do here is sustained by your generosity. So let's share as we've been shared with. Blessed be.